Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Passion Projects podcast. Today we have the second episode of the pod, and today's guest is a dear friend. His name is Eric Turner. He is a coworker, a salesman, someone who's overcome addiction, gone through the recovery process. It was a very interesting conversation. I enjoyed every single second of it. We talked about things like conspiracy theories. We talked about his times in prison. We talked about addiction and recovery. We talked about sales techniques. We talked about something that you're going to find interesting. I just know it. I know you're going to find something in there interesting. So please just sit back, relax, and enjoy the next hour, I think hour and 20 minutes of the pod. It was a great time to connect with him again, learn some things that I never actually really knew about him. So pretty cool. And another disclaimer I wanted to add is I know the audio and maybe even the recording footage itself isn't the best on this one. I'm going to be working to make it better every single time. But in the editing process, there was some moments where just because the audio wasn't that good, it was hard to get it very clear. And there was some times where it kind of pitches up weirdly and there's kind of this shrieking noise. I tried to make it as good as possible, but just wanted to make you aware of that. It's not going to happen next time, but if that happens, please just act like it didn't. Okay? Anyway, that's enough talking. Bye.
About like, what is your philosophy on sales? Because everybody has their different approach to selling, and I think you're really good at sales.
Yeah,
Like, is there anything unique you have to say about that process and what you do with it?
man. Sometimes I don't feel equipped to do what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just, like it's like, okay, what is the art of talking someone into getting something that
What's right,
they
what's
maybe
wrong?
don't want and you want them to buy, right?
Mhm.
And really, it's just like, for me, it's like just kind of meeting them where they're at their level
Mhm.
and listening a bunch,
Yeah.
not over talking people or overrunning them.
Mhm.
And I try to look at it from a perspective of like, what do I like when stuff like that happens to me? Like I go to a car lot and want somebody running up to me like, "Hey man, what kind of car you want?" So like I don't like hounding people, following them around the store. Just I feel creepy, man. It just feels like stalker vibes. You know what I mean? Like, especially hey man, hey, like popping out from the corner. Hey man, like a little weird. So I mean, honestly, a lot of it has to do with not even talking about the product itself. Is getting to know the person on a more personal level. And I think then if you treat it as like, hey, I'm meeting this person and I just want to kind of find out like who they are, what they do, like legit listen to like what they're here for. And I think they're a lot more willing to trust you.
Oh, for sure.
And
Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime you actually show at least to me, I feel like anytime you show an ounce of caring about who they actually are,
Yeah.
and make it just even a tiny connection,
Yeah.
they're probably going to buy something from you.
Yeah.
It's you can. I feel like you can also overlook that at the same time and not think about it and just go through the motion of, oh, come on, buy it, come on.
Yeah, you can get a little too kind of rushed through the process. I think people can pick up on that. I think there was a time, I've been there like 8 years now. There was definitely a time where I was like, just hurry up and buy this. Like, like they're asking me all these questions and I've been through the whole spiel so many times with so many people that it's almost like, all right, man, I know what you're going to buy. Let's just cut to the chase. But you can't.
No, I know the feeling.
You can't do that though. So, and man, like a smile and making people laugh always breaks people's walls down like pretty well. I hate to say this, man, but honestly, like the more I watch him do what he does. Joe's really good at what he does.
I don't get it. But it works
I
for him.
really don't get it. He's a salesman, but what I've noticed is that he just kind of is really just light and fun and just, talkative and just talk like he gets back to the window and he is not talking about appliances.
No.
He's talking about the weirdest, most awful wall stuff. And you're like, he just say that?
Yeah.
Or did he just, but
something I would never say.
No, yeah, but being able,
he says it.
Yeah. And it's like just oh, it's Joe and he can get away with it. And maybe people like think he's
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
challenge or something. But no, man, there's something to be said about that. I think you can pick from what everybody does. But I really, there. I don't like the whole like, oh yeah, you should buy this or like, look, just
Yeah.
look, the most expensive thing over here and blah blah blah. Like I would just as soon help people save a couple bucks, and I think
That's kind of how I feel.
that goes a long ways too.
Yeah.
Maybe they're more likely to come see you next time instead of like, oh, this guy's always just trying to push the most expensive thing on me.
Yeah.
You
People
know?
feel authenticity immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah. So sales is tough. It definitely tests your integrity too.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
There's been times where like I'll be looking at an order that I have and like, I don't know, we're in a sale period or something like,
Yeah.
we like guaranteed best price. Hey, if the price drops, we'll give it to you, blah, blah, blah. And like, I just randomly happenstance happen like looking at their order
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh, the price dropped on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, do I call them? Are they going to
You
find out?
Yeah.
You have to, and then, especially working with each other,
Mm-hmm.
with other people, who are working in sales and also there to make money. Man, it's real easy just to be like, either he's not here
Yeah.
or like he's on vacation, I'll take care of you
Yep.
type of thing.
Yep.
Or also like on the flip side, knowing that it is somebody else's customer and getting mad at the fact that you have to work like for them.
Yeah.
That's still a challenge for me.
Yeah. Especially depending on the person you're doing it for.
Yeah, that's still a challenge to me. But I guess the way I've tried to the lens I've tried to look at it through is that like we make a good living.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us a little more than others.
Mm-hmm.
To just
talk about stoves,
but just to help the customer,
help people get what they need.
No matter what it is or who it is or who it's for. We just help people get. And every now and then, it's benefits us.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander type thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it's good for us, the store overall. Like, I don't plan on going anywhere. I hope maybe one day you're still young enough and no kids and stuff like that you can branch out and explore your creativity. Because another thing is that the hours. Oh well, yeah. It's a good segue. Is like I also think that working in sales, at least the time that you have to put into working in sales can take your creativity. For sure. It can rob your creativity from you. I think adulthood in general.
No kidding, dude.
Can kind of rob your creativity. Like, what's that movie? If? Have you seen the movie If? I'm a big.
Isn't that, what does that stand for?
Imaginary Friend.
Imaginary Friend, yeah. It came out like less than a year ago.
Yeah. It's Ryan Reynolds. Mm-hmm. And the whole time he's like accompanying this little girl through some hard time in her life or something. And like little by little, she actually realizes that by the end of the movie, he was her imaginary friend, like from when she was a little girl. Yeah. And she remembers, and it just kind of restores her outlook on life, like that youthful outlook you have as a child or whatever.
Somehow it just goes away.
It does. It just, and like, I don't miss being a kid just because of like the hours and nap time and this, that, and the other.
You don't miss nap time?
I do miss. I did. I very much so miss nap time. I still take nap time. So I probably shouldn't, but yeah, man, just that youthful, innocent, just like nuance of discovering something and like for the first time, and diving into it and being passionate about something and having like a focus. There's just so many distractions and as an adult. Abilities maybe is a better word.
That's true. A lot more responsibility.
Yeah, and like the more stuff you have, the more there is. So like,
well, there's this thing I read in the book. It's called prevalence-induced concept change, and it's basically this idea that humans are pretty much never satisfied because the second we get something we want, we basically immediately start searching for the next thing. So I think that's also kind of part of it, is like you basically have to fight to be content with where you are, even if you're doing really well. Because what we have doesn't seem to be enough, but for 5 seconds, and it's like, well, maybe I do need to go buy that too. Maybe I do need to go do this thing too. Wait, am I really fulfilled? Huh. You know?
That brings up the question: what is true fulfillment
Yeah.
for a human being? For the ultimate end goal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think especially with social media nowadays, it's just so hard to to really like pinpoint what that is because there's so many influences from other people.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
Always. Like we don't even realize it, right? The places where I've noticed that like my creativity and like what Eric is and what he wants and how he expresses himself really comes out is in jail.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. It sounds weird,
There's
right?
no stimulant, right? Is that why?
There's zero.
Yeah.
There's zero
Yeah.
stimulation. Now there's a period where of almost like maybe like social withdrawal
Mm-hmm.
that you would go through. And it's been a while since I've been in it, but there's like a period of social withdrawal and where you're like, oh, man, like I miss like TV, I miss my cell phone, I miss
And then you get it back.
So you're in there for a little bit and you get to a point where it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna start writing or writing poetry or singing songs or drawing or playing cards or whatever it may be, like the really like simple things in life that used to bring you joy and still can, but you're just so distracted by everything that's going on. And I'm guilty of that myself, man. You walk into my garage and you're like, oh, motorcycle, mountain bikes, blah 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 blah, paddle. Like I have
all these things.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, a lot of rich people are quoted saying like, "Hey, man, this watch tells the same as this time, and this car will get you from point A to point B." Like all different stuff. But it's not bad to have nice things. It's just the personality of different people can drive them towards like it almost being kind of like an addiction, I guess. Of having
for sure
this, that, and the other.
Sure.
So
I would say most of American society is probably that way. Probably.
Yeah.
That does lead me to the first question I actually had written down, though, which was...
You got to memorize or you mean to what?
I had to memorize to where I could ask it to you.
Okay.
But, from just being your friend for the last 2.5 years that I've worked at Jeff Lynch, you've told me some pretty crazy stories. And some pretty wild ones. It seems like... maybe it was your 20s. I could be a little bit off on the time frame, but you spent a lot of time traveling to like parts of South America, or maybe even in the United States. Just living and traveling, and maybe even partying a good bit too. Like, what did you learn during that time, and like from traveling all over South America or different Hispanic countries? And like, is there anything you've taken away from that as you've gotten older?
Yeah, I have a really deep-rooted love for Hispanic culture.
Me too.
And I don't know. I mean, my mom is obviously from there and stuff like that. And but I was raised here. But every other summer we would go back to Peru. And yeah, I mean, like I've been to Colombia, Dominican, like just different places.
You told me Argentina.
I went to Argentina. I can't remember. I don't know, but it just gives you a different perspective on life. For because those people live so much differently than
night and day.
So much differently than we do, man. Like it's so easy to be here in the United States and have a bunch of friends, but be completely isolated.
For sure.
And be completely alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. There's a bunch of superficial connections here, I think, and over there, man, like it's like ride or die. It's like for life. You know what I mean? And like when they get together, you can really just feel the camaraderie. You can feel the community, and you can feel the love, the family. Yeah. That's a big part of it. I have a really big family. My mom is the oldest of 6 kids, and I have like 18 first cousins or something.
No kidding.
And all of them are having kids now. And I've grown to become like friends with some of them more than others, but because there's a bunch and they range from 50 to like 20 something.
Okay, well, a
So
lot.
yeah, so I'm like right there in the middle. But the community, the family is just so much different. They really just kind of bond and stick together.
Yeah.
Um, and then we were just talking about actually like when is it enough? When is having things enough?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like so I get like I mean it's I don't know, like living and breathing should be enough, you know?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
there's as long as you have a roof over your head, you can eat and things like that. Like it's been an okay day, you
Yeah.
know. Like
Absolutely.
so, I remember one thing I always remember. There, we were in Peru. We went on this little like dirt bike ride, like really cool through the mountains, dirt roads, things like that. And we get to this little like trail, and we go down the trail, and then we get to this people's house. And it's just these random people, but everybody in the community knows like that's where you leave your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can hike up to the waterfalls, which is like where we were, the end goal. That's like where we were going. And these people had, it was like a little house, no electricity. The house was made out of like bamboo sticks, mud packed between it, you know, like these like palm leaves or something like hanging over. They had their little chickens and their goats and their cows and all this. But dude, and then they're the happiest people in the world.
Yeah.
They're the happiest people in the world. They get up when the sun comes up. They go to sleep when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
They take care of their responsibilities throughout the day. And so it just, I don't know, man. It just it's just, you know, every now and then, I'm super Americanized, like, living here and growing up here, but every now and then, man, like that will click into my head. And there's also like a little village that we go through to get to my cousin's farm.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the same guys that work on his farm, I swear, for like 10, 15 years. His name's Lucho. And I'm just like, and I always ask about him when I go, I'm like, where's Lucho at? Where's Lucho? You know? And he's like, oh, Señor Eric, Don Eric, oh, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo está? You know? Like, he knows me really well. We'll sit there and chat, man. But, you know, he rides like like an old beater bicycle, probably from the 1950s. Looks like what,
like a beep beep bicycle.
Yeah. You know, it looks like from the Wizard of Oz, what Dorothy was riding when she got sucked up through the hurricane. It looks like that. He rides that down a dirt road, like rocky dirt road, back and forth from the farm every single day. And he just...
That's enough.
And yeah, in the village that you go through, I swear it's probably like 200 yards and one road, little road, and you're through the village. And that's it. And like, simple life, man. So like, I'll be thinking about getting something, doing something, or just complaining about something here, and I'll always remember stuff like that. Lucho. Lucho's my man. Yeah.
Shout out Lucho.
Yeah, but I think the world, I think everybody should experience other people and other cultures.
For sure.
The world's too big. God has put way too many just natural beauty and people and things out there to just sit in one spot. You know, I wish everybody could just, you know, go out and experience other things.
I feel very lucky that I've been able to travel to...
Yeah, you've been places, right?
Decent bit of places, yeah.
Where have you been?
Australia, Costa Rica, like 9 countries in Europe.
Really?
I've been England, France, Germany, Switzerland, Ireland, Italy.
Everywhere where
Spain.
People hate us, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you stupid Americans, you suck.
Yeah. It's like, what did Caroline Levitt? Have you seen like stuff that she says sometimes?
I think, but tell me anyway.
So someone was like, yeah, like this French ambassador thinks that y'all should return the Statue of Liberty. And she was like, well, tell that French ambassador that we're the reason they're not speaking German right now. And she was like, next question. Oh my God.
That's priceless.
Anyway, man, Europe would be cool.
For my honeymoon, we're going to Austria and Italy as well.
Really?
So I'll add Austria to the list.
See, I feel like that. I feel like that is like the OG, like root of creativity right there.
Oh, for sure, Vienna, absolutely.
You know what I
There's
mean?
so much stuff done there.
I mean, just from the architecture, the art. Like I think it's from creativity's inception, I guess, if you will, like from the Renaissance period.
Yeah,
I feel like it was all like
it was like one of these spots.
that's where it was.
Like Florence, probably was another big one. Yeah.
But like with Da Vinci,
Mm-hmm.
what are the other people? Man,
Name the Ninja
Rusty.
Turtles.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but all those, man, they're just like, you know, the Mount Rushmore of a lot of things we have today.
Yeah, came from right there.
Music, art, literature, sculpture, inventions, things like that. I would be fascinated to go over to.
Have you not been to Europe?
Nah, man.
You've never been to Europe?
Nah, dude, it's just South America.
Wow.
Yeah, I really would love to go to like Greece. I'd really love to go see Rome. Like I could go there.
You'd love Rome, dude.
I could literally just walk around for hours.
That's what those cities are made for.
Looking at the architecture, just I'll sit like I'll catch myself sitting there staring. Like I went out west or whatever not long ago, and it's just fascinating to me that like I'll sit there and stare and just imagine what the people saw 200 years ago, and like the resources we have now. Like we hop in a car, there's heat, there's AC.
Yeah,
you know, we put in 4-wheel drive and we just drive over stuff, right? Then it's like, you know, they rolled up their little mat and had some beef jerky and some bread or something, and they'd be like, all right, we're going across the country. We're just going to go pick up and go see what, you know?
Yeah.
And then you get to the mountains, and they're like,
probably should cross those.
Yeah, probably should cross it. Yeah.
Or they were like, no, we're not going to cross it.
Yeah. So I think that's magnified even more back in Europe, to sit there and imagine what, not just 200 years ago, what people were doing thousands of years ago, rubbing sticks together and making fires, and probably not that, you know, basic, but.
Could you imagine being the first guy to figure out about like making a fire? I bet that kid
What was his feeling?
Lost his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. What did he do?
Why did he start rubbing sticks together? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Why did he start rubbing sticks together? Where did he find the sticks?
Where's the AI overview for that?
How did he know that was what was gonna like? It had to have been an accident.
Had to. Maybe it was like lightning strike something, and they saw that it set like some wood on fire. That's the only thing I could think of, like a natural fire caused by God, and then they're like, maybe we could try those too.
It'd be interesting to see what Google said about that.
Yeah, what is the AI?
Well, what happened to, like, how was fire discovered? But anyway, yeah. So traveling has been a lot of fun. It's been a blessing. I'm very, very grateful to be, you know, my mom took me back and forth from Peru when I was a little baby, since I was a baby. And so, like, I'm super, super grateful for that perspective on life.
For sure.
And not just the narrow-mindedness of,
absolutely,
you know, us being here in the United States, and this is the way, you know, this is the only way to live. Like, we're really conceited here.
Yeah, like, super. Yeah.
Very, very conceited here.
Different than anywhere else I've ever seen. Like, not even close. But at the same time, we've created a lot of inventions that everyone uses. We have, like you said, fought in some world wars that have helped. Like, you got to take the positives with the negatives.
Our military. Like, you definitely don't want to mess with them.
That's
like,
a whole.
That's a whole. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So anyway, I greatly enjoyed it.
But what was your, you know, with all that traveling and all that kind of stuff, like, what was your kind of battle with, I guess, addiction and recovery like? Because obviously those are kind of two separate questions, and you can maybe answer one and then the other. But like, kind of, what was that path like? How did it start? And like, where have you gone from there?
So I think addiction actually robbed my creativity, robbed a lot of my just natural love for the world and culture and music. Like, I used to think I was having a great time, and I wanted to have more of a great time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of what led into my addiction. And I thought I needed substances to have a good time, when
it's just not the case.
yeah, God has placed so many things on this earth already for us to have like a natural love for it, a natural reaction to that right there is enough of a high. But I think um, the root of it was probably, I mean, I think things start from childhood and there's a little bit of a genetics involved. My family, both sides, a couple of my uncles in Peru actually still struggling. My dad, I would call him a functioning alcoholic. I remember him drinking like every single night. Um, he was a math teacher, very, very intelligent person, like high level math,
Yeah.
like Calc 1, 2, trigonometry, things
Way
just
above my
way,
age.
yeah. And he would sit down and grade his papers and get to drinking, and then he'd get done and he'd go watch TV and stuff. By the time he was watching TV, he'd be kind of, you know, and what we call lit nowadays.
Yeah.
Um, and like I was his little channel changer person.
Mhm.
You're probably not old enough to remember, but like back
No.
back in my days, you had to walk up to the TV
Oh,
and
you
change
managed it.
and jump. Yeah. Well, could you imagine? Like we don't. I can't just grab my remote control. But there was a little box and I had to change the channels and you'd be like, go to this channel, go to that channel. We'd watch sports and this, that, and the other. But I was also like his refill guy. Like I was like, he was like, go give me another beer. And I remember asking him when I was like 5 years old, and I was like, what's this? And he was like, it's beer. And I was like, what's it taste like? And he was like, just try it.
At 5?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dang.
At 5. And then so in Peru, we talked about a lot of the culture there. And a lot of the culture is drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, those dudes throw down. Like, people here think they party. Nope. Go to anywhere in South America.
Go to a Hispanic wedding.
And you were going to fall flat on your face well before everybody else does.
Yes. And they'll party till 7 a.m.
And yes, they will. Yeah. So then that's exactly what I'm getting to. So like so I would go with my mom and all of her siblings and all of her cousins would drag us all to parties so they can party. And all of us little cousins would like band together. And the way they do it in Peru is like, let's say that's the beer bottle. Okay. So I've got this. I've got a cup. You pour yourself. You go, here you go, man. You drink. No, you're doing it wrong. No. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry. So, but anyway, they and then once I'm done, you go like this and you pass it. And then that's how they do. They all sit in a circle. So even the way they drink is still like a very community involved type of thing. It's not like here everybody has a this is my beer. This is my 12 pack. I bought this. They're like, hey, yeah, man. They're very So anyway, so as a kid, the adults would leave those bottles around of like half open beers. And the cousins in my age group are a little older than me. So at probably like 8 to 10 years old, we would be like running around, and we were so short that we were like stealth, right? We were just like weaving and bobbing through all the adults and little beer ninjas. And we would get them and we would all group back together and be like, I got this, and we would do everything they were doing. Yeah. And so at about 8, 10 years old, like I was drinking. And I remember like at 12 to 14 or so, I would go over there. And they just thought it was hilarious to get the little American cousin drunk. Yeah. Give him some alcohol, see how he acts. Type of thing. And I like the attention, to be honest with you. Like, I like the attention. But the reason I craved the attention and the reason I also later felt like I needed alcohol or harder substances than that to either get along in groups of people or go to a concert or go dance with a girl or play an open mic night or anything like that was because of my lack of confidence or my lack maybe of attention and social skills from when I was a child. And so one big thing that going through rehabs is they always want to dig into your past. And I'm like, it's got nothing to do with, at first, like,
This is stupid. Okay.
stupid. Like, y'all have no idea what you're talking about,
Yeah.
And here I am
Yeah.
thinking, like, I know what's best for my life.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I'm going to jail every other month,
That's crazy.
So I look back and I pinpoint a few things in my life, and I'm not blaming this,
Mhm.
right? Everybody goes through something. Everybody has traumatic experiences. Um, where you go from there but it's mostly up to you.
Yeah.
When you're a child, you definitely have influences from your parents,
For
and
sure.
there's certain things you
Sure.
can and can't do, and blah blah blah. But so one of the big ones for me, there's a couple memories I have. So my dad was kind of abusive towards my mom.
Mhm.
Okay, I remember being like 4 or 5 years old, and even older than that. Um, and I remember them arguing late night. My
Yeah.
dad, he's got a really deep voice,
Mhm.
and damn it, Elena,
Yeah.
and just starting to argue. And there's a couple times where like, I saw him like grab my mom, like push her up against the wall.
Yeah.
And I remember I was always really scared of him when his little cheekbone muscles like popped out, like gritting his teeth, because you could tell. And the reason was because of what I saw. And so anyway, so I have an older sister. She's 11 years older than me, and anytime something like that happened, I'd run to her room. And she'd be like, "It's okay," and blah blah blah, and stuff like that. And so like she was kind of like my source of comfort.
Yeah.
And so with us being 11 years apart, so she turns 18 and I'm 7.
Sure.
What do you do when you're 18? What do normal kids do when you're 18? Go to college. So me as a 7-year-old, I remember the day she left. I'm 37 now, and I remember the day she left for college. Like 30 years later, I can still remember it clear as day.
Wow.
Because it was so.
It was vivid.
It was so vivid, and it was so like detrimental to me that she left. Remember, she was hugging my mom. Everybody's crying. I'm like, what is happening? Why is everybody crying? And then all I remember is her driving off, and she never came back. And as a 7-year-old kid, you don't understand. You're like, oh, she's going to college and she's living her life. But to me, it was like, you're abandoning me.
Yeah.
You're leaving me here in this horrible situation, in this horrible life.
Yeah.
And not that my parents are horrible. Okay, there's a lot, but I'm just saying there's no family's perfect. Okay, so these are the imperfections of my family. There's a lot that they did really well, but yeah, I was like, you're abandoned. Like, screw you.
That's what it felt like.
And I think even today, man, like I still struggle in relationships, especially with women, with girls. It's almost like I self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Sure,
it goes all the way back to that.
Yeah. And so like I had to find ways to cope, man. Yeah. And I even remember as a little kid, before drugs even ever came along, man, like I had to find ways to cope. Like I would, let's see, I had suicidal thoughts as a kid. Wow. Like I don't think I wanted to really accept it for a long time, but like I remember like taking a bath by myself and being like, what if I just stayed under? Like stuff like that. I was really angry. I remember being really abusive towards my animals. I know that sounds really weird. And like serial killer vibes. I don't have any weapons on me. So I'm safe. No, but like I remember just being mad, like really mad, like having this rage inside of me. And it still comes up every now and then. But I think it's from examples from my dad and what I went through with my sister. And then the second part of it is the lack of communication in my family. Or also maybe the way communication was approached.
Sure.
We didn't really have open conversations about feelings, about finances, about mistakes that we made, about relationships. Yeah, and I think all that is so important because if not, like everybody is thinking about something.
Sure.
Everybody's going through something. Everybody has like ideas or thoughts, whether they're positive or negative, and those thoughts and ideas need somewhere to go.
Yeah.
They can't just be bottled up. And so mine were thoughts of like anger. and they had nowhere to go, man. Like my parents never talked to me about their feelings. They never talked to me about their finances. They never talked to me about relationships. It was always like this really like taboo thing, not just for my immediate family, but really my whole family, mostly on my dad's side. And my dad too was like a really just cold, calculating, was always the same face type of person, and blah blah blah. Very statistical, you know. He's very math. Yeah, I remember playing baseball, and he never like cheered me on. Never, you know. I would look up, and he would be up in the stands, and he would just be sitting there writing a sheet of paper.
He was there, but he wasn't present.
But he was taking my stats.
Oh.
If I was on the pitcher's mound, he's like, oh, you struck out this many people, you gave up this many hits, blah, 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 blah. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think he was trying to help me. Or at bats, he'd be like, oh, you went 3 for 4 enough. But it just seemed, by him recapping what I was doing, it just never seemed good enough.
Yeah, sure.
And then my family was always like, we go to family reunions and like, oh, your uncle was a senator, or like your cousin played baseball, blah, 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 blah. And like, what are you gonna do? And I'm just like, I don't fucking know. Like, whatever I want to.
Yeah.
You know? Like, back off.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. You know?
I'm 6, y'all.
Yeah, like, I don't know, man. You know? I'm just fucking hanging out right now, you know? Like, I don't know. And that just put a lot of pressure on me, man. And so, like, it was just so much easier to regress back into a shell.
Yeah.
Of
just led you back towards
myself, and basically an escape, and like whatever I could find for that escape. It didn't even really have to be drugs, man. Like even at an early age, it was porn or something. Back in my day, it was magazines with the pages stuck together.
It's changed since then.
It's changed a little since then, but like my friends, I remember my friends one time we were having a sleepover, like out in in the backyard of one of my friends' house.
Yeah.
And I was walking out to meet them on the street because they live like right down the road, and they were like, "We got some Hustler magazines," and I turned to my mom. I was like, "Mom, they got Hustler magazines," and they were like, "Shut up!" I had no idea what it was, and then I was like, they were like, "Shut up, dude," and I was like, "Oh," she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Nothing." So
you were being a rat, bro. You were
I know. Yeah, I was like, my bad, dude. But I remember very clearly, like we were sitting around the campfire, and some of the first times that I came across, you know, a woman in a magazine like that. Man, I remember the feeling it gave me, you know. And even that can be like a stimulation, an addiction, an escape, a stimulation, like anything that like projects your current state of mind or thought into another place that distracts you from where you are at the moment, whether it be drugs, porn, shopping, purchasing things, working is a big one, money is a big one. I see some people at our place of employment actually like addicted to making sales and money. And like I have to be careful now because I'm that type of person. I'm working out. Like I'm that type of personality. And I know I am, so I have to just be conscious about what I'm doing and stuff. So yeah, it's been quite the journey of discovering myself, losing myself, rediscovering myself, and maintaining that rediscovery. And you know, being okay with where I am now and what I've done and things like that. I mean, I've done some really shit, man, like really messed up stuff. So, and I'm not proud of. But I just never knew how to share. And I see kids doing it nowadays. Like getting involved in church has been huge
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And we'll talk about that more later.
Huge pivotal point. So, but seeing kids nowadays, and I've served in certain places in church, and seeing just how they just kind of open up to each other and have like true friends, like authentic community. Like it's really encouraging to see that there are people like that, because I didn't know that when I was a kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, me growing up, it was like, you got some weed, you want to smoke with me? Oh, no? Oh, okay, no.
Next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like going to somebody's house was all based off of like, would their parents let us have girls over?
Yeah.
Would their parents let us drink and smoke and do what we want?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't like, man, I really want to go over to my friend's house so I can let some things off my chest, man. Like I need my friend right now. It's just like, it's one fucking party. It's like, you know.
Where can we go to get it on?
Yeah,
where's the move?
Yeah, that's exactly like whose parents are out of town, whose house can we go crash, whose parents' car can we go steal? Because that was a big thing when I was growing up too. It was like take turns to that's a different story. Yeah, but yeah, it's been quite. I'm sorry, I probably forgot the original question, but it's been quite the journey.
So what's like the biggest piece of advice you give to someone that's currently going through recovery that has helped you not only in the moment when you were first starting recovery, but has helped you sustain sobriety ever since you became sober? That's like that one thing you could tell them would be like, okay, that works, do it.
Man, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot.
That's a good thing.
There's a lot of things you can tell people. I don't think there's like one just, man, just do this and you're good. I mean, I think it's a lot of things incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I started out in recovery, I knew what was best for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's not.
You don't know nothing.
That's not the case. So I mean, you know, saying it kind of like, you know, I don't want to say in a reway, but just find somebody who is where you want to be in life, who's overcome the things that you want to overcome in life. Somebody or a group of people, and shut up and listen. Literally treat life, and by life I mean every aspect of it: getting a job, picking your friends, taking vacations, choosing whether you buy a car, choosing to date someone, choosing to buy a house. Like literally act like you are a newborn born child and you have no clue how to do any of it.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, I could dive a little deeper, but I think if there's one thing, I think it's the humility. I think it's having enough humility to just put what you think you know aside, because what you think you know has gotten you to the place where you are right now.
Yeah.
Your best thinking as an addict has got you in jail, in institutions, you know, with just spiraling down. And so having the humility to just sit there and be like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. But I think part of having that humility has to do with acceptance. Accepting that, admitting and accepting that you have a problem.
The 12 steps.
The 12 steps. Yeah. Okay. So admitting and accepting you have a problem, because without that, you're not going to
starting place besides that.
No, you're always going to think that you don't, and you're always going to think that you don't need that person's help, or you don't need to do what he's saying. So until you actually admit that, then you're not going anywhere. You know?
I think that's great. I think that's a great way to kind of put that. Just shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen. I think that's great.
If honestly, if you want to just wrap it all into one, just shut up and listen.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Do what he said.
How do you think you've changed since becoming a father? Because obviously, how old's your daughter? Is she
14?
14?
I got a son who's 18 too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's been a roller coaster too.
Mhm.
So like I had my first kid when I was 19 and my second when I was 22 with a different woman. So there. Um well, I say girl because I was so young,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Mhm.
but man, it has helped me discover a lot about myself.
Mhm.
Um, some of the things that I have discovered about myself aren't like it's not something I'm proud of. Not things I'm
Yeah.
proud of. You know, like
Sure.
what? So when I first found out that my son's mom was pregnant, like I'd love to be able to sit here and say like, oh yeah, like I dropped everything. I was a man and I did what I was. No,
Yeah.
I was a kid
Mhm.
and I was pissed off and I was scared
Yeah.
and I ran.
Mhm.
And that, like, honestly, like, so having kids at such a young age, I think spiraled me into more of the wanting to escape type of thing.
Mhm.
And I was I was really mad at God too, and I was like, man, this is just not the way my life is supposed to turn out.
Yeah.
You know, because of everybody around me too. Like, it would just, all my family, like, you get married and then you have kids. Like, I've
Yeah.
done everything reverse.
Yeah.
You know, you're supposed to get an education, you're supposed to get married, then you have kids. I dropped out, had kids, and I'm still not married. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Different order than what you were
Way
taught
different,
about.
way
Yeah.
different order. So like, so when I had my first kid, I wanted to have a foot in both worlds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wanted to be a dad, but I also wanted to be a 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I was mad I didn't get to go to college and do that whole experience, and just, I feel like I missed out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then my daughter was born, and I also feel like I was missing out because I was only 22.
Yeah.
You know, by that time you're supposed to be like
Finishing college. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like, oh, let's make that trip to Europe and go backpacking or like whatever, like the
Yeah.
things that kids get out of college that they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so as far as like how I've changed since being a father, I mean, at first it's brought to light a lot of my characteristics.
Mm.
And I guess so. Like, when challenging things arose in my life, whether it was having a kid or a job or some sort of challenge in sports or employment or anything like that, like I ran,
Mm-hmm.
run, sometimes still do.
Sure.
So I think it helped me to discover who I was, but it also helped me to discover what I didn't want to be.
Sure.
Because due to my addiction, due to my lack of being a father, I didn't see my daughter for 7 years, from the time she was 1 to the time she was 7 years old, ish, around there. So about 7 years. And to this day, I haven't seen my son. I haven't laid eyes on him in person. Yeah,
Wow.
well, so not ever. I was in his life until he was about 3.5, and he's 18.
Wow.
So
realistically, I mean,
yeah,
15 years of not seeing him.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, man, it really helped me to see, I don't want to be this person. I don't want to be the person that runs from problem.
Yeah.
And you know me at work.
Yeah.
I don't
You're
really.
pissed all the time.
It's my concentration phase. But I mean, I don't necessarily back down easily now or run from problems or whatever. But I think there's always a learning phase in life from mistakes, and there's no better lesson in life than learning from mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been a huge mistake that I can never, ever undo. Mm-hmm. And I can never take that back. Those 15 years are gone. those 6 years of my daughter's life are gone.
Yeah.
We have a great relationship now.
Yeah.
Um,
It's cool to see.
yeah,
Cool to see.
she's awesome.
She seems
I
awesome.
freaking love her to
Yeah.
death, dude. But so I mean, since then, I think people learn in different ways,
Mhm.
and I'm the type of person that learns from extremely painful experiences.
Yeah.
Whether it be physical pain or emotional pain,
Mm-hmm.
I learned from that type of thing. And man, it hurt all those years. And it still does. But I have to, and this is the part of the recovery journey,
Mm-hmm.
is accepting what I've done wrong, accepting the part that I have played and the things that have happened in my own life, and not blaming it on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And once I've been able to accept that, I'm able to identify it, recognize if I'm doing it again, but also more importantly, recognize to maybe like, hey, let's not do this time. You know what I mean? So,
Course correct.
Yeah.
Next time, yeah.
Yeah, so I would love to say I've changed for the better. I think in the long run I've changed for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you were talking to 25-year-old me,
For sure.
no. You know. No.
Same kind of guy. When do you feel like you was there ever a moment where you turned the corner and kind of felt like, okay, I'm grown up now, I'm really on the right track doing the right thing? Was there ever that moment?
I mean, I think life is just full of figuring things out.
Yeah.
Like, what is the right thing?
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, I mean, I think the turning point just was me going to rehab.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I have to specify which rehab. I'm sorry. Hold on. So I've been to jail a lot. I've been to rehab a lot. But the turning point was the last rehab I went to, obviously, because it's the one that
worked. Yeah.
Clean, right? It's the one that worked. I mean, I'd probably not probably say it. I would say the turning point for me was accepting Christ.
Wow.
I mean, I can be like, oh, well, I did this, but honestly, like doing that from that point forward,
Mm-hmm.
I can look back and just see kind of where, like, those bowling pin, like when you go bowling. I know it's really random. Like, what? We're talking about bowling now. So like you go bowling and you can put the guards up,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So like after I accepted Christ, the guards weren't up.
Mm-hmm.
I would fall in the gutter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm sorry, before I accepted Christ, I was just fine. After I did, the guards were up, and I'm still trying to, bang it up again, like not doing things right for a good while, right?
Yeah.
But I can always look back and see where God was bumping me back onto the path.
That's such a cool way to look at it. I love that.
So
I've seen that in my own life. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you? So you accepted Christ in rehab?
Jail.
At jail. Same difference. How old were you?
It was. So I still have the Bible from when I accepted. Yeah, and it has my name in there, Eric Samuel Turner, cell C6, cell block C, cell room number 6 or whatever, and it was right around Valentine's Day of 2015.
Oh, cool. So
I'm always like, Jesus, my Valentine.
Yeah.
Jesus, my forever Valentine. Yeah, but like, I mean, I can tell you, I guess, why, how, whatever. I mean, so I mean, I was raised Catholic, and so I've always like known there was a God, but I always just kind of looked at him as this, like, you're just there to make sure I get everything I want in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just that genie in the body.
Do your part.
Yeah. Do your part.
Yeah.
I'm alive here on Earth. Where's my?
Where's my pot of gold?
Yeah. Where's my pot of gold? Yeah. So I just treated God like it was just some genie. Like, oh, I'm just gonna rub on him when I want to make a wish, right? And things aren't going well. And because of my perspective on God like that, I got, excuse me, I got really mad when things didn't go the way I wanted.
Makes sense.
Right, like having a kid, or
Yeah.
like dropping out of high school, or like not getting on that sports team, or not getting that job, or whatever it was. Whatever it was, I would just dive deeper and deeper and deeper into the anger towards him.
Yeah.
And I didn't talk to anybody about it. Nobody understood, and so it welled up inside me as rage. And yeah, addiction and this just everything, right? And like one of the ways it was a big culmination of things. Okay, like so one of the ways that I got money for addiction for drugs because I was spending ridiculous amounts of money just to feel normal every day. Like the amount of drugs I did was just I should be dead. And it's by God's grace alone that I'm not. And I'm basically, for lack of better terms, I would steal money from my parents. Okay, through checks. I got really good at forging their signature.
Wow.
Really good at on checks and stuff. And so like I would like go through the little checkbook and get like little bits at a time. But you always get greedy, you get comfortable, and you start taking more. Anyway, like my parents called on, they found out. And in 2014, like later in the year, I remember I overdosed. Like one of the times I got out of jail, I called this girl, and I got out unexpectedly. Apparently, I had like credit or something. Like the judge was like 30 days or like 60 days in jail. Wow. So like I go in and I'm like hunkering down, right? I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be in here for a little bit, like join the work crew and this and the other. And then all of a sudden, like 20 something days in, like I was in there for like 3 weeks. They called my name over the loudspeaker. They said, Turner all the way. And all the way in jail means pack up your stuff. You're going all the way out the door. They just all the way meant you're leaving. And I was like, wait, what? Like this? No, I've been here. Really? Yeah. And so I get up to the front, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't know, man." They were like, "You served a bunch of time, some other time that you weren't supposed to," and so they gave you credit. I was like, "Oh, great,
extra credit,
extra credit." In jail, who knew? And so I left or whatever, and called this girl, and she had a prescription to every pill on the face of the planet that I love doing.
Yeah.
Percocet, Xanax, whatever it was, and so I called her. I said, "Hey, come get me! Like I'm ready!
I'm ready!
Yeah, let's go party!" Yeah. And so like we did, but my tolerance wasn't where it was before because of being in jail for 3 weeks. So like I overdosed in her car. Oh yeah, quick, yeah. So I overdosed in her car, and she like drove to the emergency room, like opened the door and kicked me out and drove off.
Wow!
And nobody found out. Because I lived like 5 minutes walking distance from the hospital. So they discharged me. I just walked home. And I remember going to sleep. They pumped me full of stuff to clean my system out. Yeah. I remember going to sleep that night and waking up in the morning and being like, I'm sober. Like, what? Screw this. And I went and got a bag of dope or whatever. And I went in my bathroom. And shot up, and my dad found me, and I overdosed again the very next day. And I remember the EMT like come in, like I woke up just long enough for the EMT to like go in my pockets and take my drugs, and then I passed back out. And I remember like leaving the hospital being like, oh man, like somebody's gonna just come tackle me and I'm gonna go to jail for a long time. Because like at that point I had an extensive record of drugs and breaking and entering and violence and this, that, and the other and whatever. And nobody came. I don't know, man. Weird, right? God looking out for me. So anyway, like I continued to do like stupid stuff. And I ended up in jail again. And like, I don't know, it was like everything was wrong, right? Like I had OD. My life was like a dang country song. Like, just like my girlfriend left me, my dog had died. Not really, but my girlfriend had left me. My parents would like basically just disown me. They used to come and get me out of jail. They weren't coming to get me, blah blah.
Yeah.
So anyway, like I stayed long enough um, to start listening to the chaplain in jail, right? And me being the little criminal that I am, like I would steal honey buns and stuff from my roommate. And instead of like, there was people like he was an older guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think they call him Unk or something. Like
Unk.
Unk was
Oh,
it? He's like this older white guy.
Yeah, I love hearing people called Unk.
Oh, dude, and he
It's
was
great.
in there for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, and so like I would steal his honey buns, and that's a big
You're an
no.
idiot,
That's a
dude.
big no in jail, dude.
Yeah.
Like, where's my honey bun? I don't know, dude. What is it? Like I'm licking my fingers so that yeah, I don't know, bro. So people found out and caught word, and like they wanted to beat my ass. It was a 23-1 type of jail thing, which means you're in your cell 23 hours and you're out 1 hour a day. And so for that 1 hour, the door would crack open, and I was like scared to go out because I knew people like were out because man, they had Unk's back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, who's this little fucker coming in
Yeah.
stealing his shit?
Yeah.
And you know what he did? He said, "Nah, man, leave him alone."
Wow.
I was like, wait, what? You know, like he knew.
Yeah.
He was, and he never broached the subject of me doing that, but I stopped. And then I kind of gained clarity somewhat, right, from my drugs. And he would always sit there. He'd wake up every morning and read from this little book, and it was a little Bible.
Wow.
And you know what he ended up doing? He ended up inviting me to a Bible study.
That's so cool.
In the jail.
Wow.
After I was stealing his shit.
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's truly being Christ-like.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And so for my hour out, I went down to this other guy's cell, and man, there was like probably 8 people crammed in this place, and they would just sit there and like they're in there for a long time and for some pretty serious stuff. And they were just sitting there like thanking God and talking about the Bible and this, that, and the other.
That's so cool.
And I could hear the chaplain preaching. And so I remember, one day the chaplain was just like, "I'm going to try to get through this without crying, man, because this like pivotal point in my life, you know?" So I remember the chaplain, and like I was in my cell, like the way we would listen to the chaplain was we would roll up our mats and we would tie our blanket around it and I would sit on it. And the door was a solid steel door with about that much room, right? So just enough to pass your food tray. And so that thing would be down. I would keep my ear right there listening. And he just was like, "Hey, man, if anybody wants to accept Christ in their life, stick your hands out and I'll pray for you." Wow. And I did.
That's really cool. What year was that?
2015. So I'll literally never forget that, man. Sure. You know, so like I'll never forget that. And God, so I get out and I keep doing dumb shit. Like, I swear, like, like I almost thought, like I almost thought that getting saved was like this, just like magic pixie dust. That like, all right, my life's gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna be good now. Like,
I've had that same feeling.
So like it wasn't like that at all. Like, God definitely let me fall down flat on my face several times after
He'll do that.
And since, and then, but that's what it takes for me to learn. And I think God knows that. So after that, it came to light that like the way that I was getting money from my mom and parents and stuff, and she found out. She went to the bank and like she got a rap sheet on me, dude. Like got all the evidence she needed to put me away for a really long time. And so like she goes she goes to the bank and she's like, it was a Saturday because Bank of America's open on Saturday. Whoever it was that was like could sign off on the paperwork and releasing the documents wasn't there. And she goes to church the next day. I'm like, "Mom, just talk to me. Please just talk to me." Yeah. And she's like, "Eric," she was like, "I was about to have you arrested." and you were going to go away for a long time. Because like at this point, like my lawyer was tired of seeing me.
Got to that point.
Yeah. Like, you know, like we were paying him,
Mhm.
but my parents had stopped paying the lawyers for me too. That's another thing. Enabling is horrible for kids and people in general. Like,
Yeah.
I was enabled big time. That's another topic. But shoot, like, dude, I had like a rap. Like I was 14 years old. I've been getting in trouble. And at this time, I was like 26 years old.
Wow.
So for a good 12 years,
Yeah.
my criminal career, whatever, you know, like
Your lawyer loved you.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Like I just feel like I deserve a rebate or something, you know, like
$100 meal rebate.
kickback or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but so I mean, like if I went in front of the DA one more time, it was over with, man. Like I could have been facing a good like 5 to 10 years. You know?
Wow.
And so my mom, like, I'll never forget this either, man. She looked at me through teary eyes. She said, Eric, I was about to have you arrested. You were going to go away for a long time. And she said, I guess God knows that thanks for your life. And
wow, yeah.
Boom. You want to talk about
You
like
just start sobbing.
Oh,
Fetal position and
dude,
everything.
like yeah, you want to talk about like a hit, you know, like emotionally, seeing your mom say that. And I was just like, it's just through the overdose, getting saved, still falling on my face. And then that happened, and I was like, I gotta do something.
Yeah. Between the overdoses to that day where your mom talked to you, how much time was that?
A year.
Okay, so that was like fairly spread out, but that was kind of the whole process of how I got there. Okay, interesting.
I would say about a year.
Yeah.
So change isn't immediate.
No.
You know what I mean?
No,
like it is far from immediate. Like everybody talks about turning points. Like, and I think it's widely misconstrued in movies and just very compressed and condensed down into this, 10 or 15-minute scene where it's like something happens. I'm tired of this. And then like, ooh, I'm gonna get up, and then like montage of like Rocky like running up the steps and like the music playing, and then like cut to where like life's better. Like it's not like that.
And I feel like people also try to treat their lives as if they can live that Rocky montage, and then that's the change that happens.
Yeah,
but no, it's waking up every day with a humble heart.
Yeah,
for sometimes years until you get to that spot where you can go, oh, that's what that meant.
Yeah.
That's why that happened.
Yeah. Or really it just never stops.
Yeah.
And we can improve from who we were yesterday, like every single day.
Absolutely.
It's a battle against ourselves, not the comparison on who's on social media and what they have. Mm-hmm. It's a battle just against ourselves, And so, but I mean, man, and then the turning point was still turning at that point. It wasn't over.
It was a long turning point.
It was still a long, like, so after that, it was rehab for 7 months. And then an internship I got kicked out of, by the way, for 3 months.
Wow.
And then transitional housing for 5 months. Yeah. And then living with a buddy of mine for 2 years. Before, so we're talking between like all the overdoses, going to rehab, living with my buddy, and finally being able to like buy my own house. I mean, we're talking a good like 3-4 year process. Mm-hmm. It is not immediate by any means. Like it just doesn't. One day you just wake up and things have changed. Yeah. And I still have. I'm still very much like fall short when it comes to that instant gratification thing and like expecting my life or whatever to change at that moment. Yeah. Change doesn't happen in big steps. Change happens in little habits. Mm-hmm. Just little bitty things create bigger change.
You ever read Atomic Habits?
No, but I've seen a lot of those books. I hate reading. I'll be honest with you, man. I hate reading. Like
since you didn't read it, the reason I brought that up is because something he talks about in that book is that if you just try to be 1% better every single day at anything, that over time it will compound so much that in 100 days you wouldn't even recognize the position you were in before. You'd be so far gone. I think it's an interesting concept and it kind of ties into what you're saying.
Yeah. It's Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I hate reading, man.
Have you ever read a full book?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a kid, I loved the Harry Potter series books. They are. They're great. I've read all of them. They're great books. I read The Little Prince, which is one of my favorite books ever. Um, I read the Redwall series books.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, like the little mouse clan.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't read them, but I've seen them.
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
But I remember and that goes back to that creativity thing. Like I remember as a kid just imagining like,
Oh yeah.
you know, like reading, and it almost created this movie almost in my mind of what was going on, and just this whole imagine like Narnia, like walking through the freaking closet at Narnia.
Yeah.
And nowadays I find that in movies, other people do it for me, and then I just go sit down and watch the movies. So,
well, that leads me actually to the last question that I had, which was, out of these conspiracy theories, which one would you like to talk about? The moon landing being fake, flat Earth theory, the government killed JFK, the Denver airport is the Illuminati's headquarters, which you may or may not be familiar with, and then Bigfoot's existence. Pick one of those and we can kind of talk about it.
Oh, dude.
Moon landing, flat Earth, JFK, Denver airport, Bigfoot.
Oh, God, they're all so good. You know?
You can come back another time. We can talk about more conspiracy theories.
No, I'd love to. I would love the conspiracy theory thing, man. There's so many out there.
Do you believe in the JFK?
I want to go. Let's talk about the JFK thing. I want to go Bigfoot because I love nature and hiking.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the JFK thing is just
that's a good choice.
Yeah,
I support that decision.
Okay.
So, do you believe that JFK was assassinated by what was it, the FBI, CIA, one of those two?
Oh man, what? I mean,
had to have been, right?
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing, though, man. Like, everybody's truth is relative to what they are exposed to, almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people's, like what you were talking about, the caveman thousands of years ago that discovered fire. His truth was he had a couple sticks right here, rubbed them together, and made fire. And now he knew how to do that, and that's what was true.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to provide for his little caveman babies, and like, or whatever,
babies,
like the Flintstones or whatever, you know. And like that was his truth. There was no outside influences.
Yeah.
He kind of lived discovering his own truth, and there's a beauty to that. I think that a lot of people now are missing out on, but. Mm-hmm. Truth now is like what we're exposed to through media and different things. So like, I don't know, man. Like they like the truth to most people were whatever was reported on after that happened.
I think
that's our conduit to truth. You know, so like something fun. Okay, all that to say, yes.
They still did it.
They did. Say, yes. All that to say, yes. Okay, I'm sorry, but the government is just this
machine.
It's this big machine. They're all out for themselves. I think the days of, hey, I'm just truly out for the people are way long gone. I think that was more back when there was like little villages and communities, like Little House on the Prairie type living.
Yeah.
You know, like it is not like that anymore. It's too big. Mm-hmm. It is, it's way too big. It is too intertwined. And like now it's just a question of like, how deep does the lie go? And it's so easy to do something drastic that heightens everybody's emotions, right? Whether it's the JFK thing, whether it's COVID, whether it's the George Floyd thing, and I'm just naming things that have gone on here recently. But it's so easy to heighten people's emotions. Mm-hmm. Oh my God!
Yeah.
And then the first thing they hear, they like believe.
You saw that with COVID,
right?
It's like the recent thing that I can relate to.
But it's like, well, hold on. Mm-hmm. You know, how easy is it for the government to just be like, create this scenario, heighten everyone's emotions, just to paint a picture in front of people
Yeah.
while they're behind and doing the real thing. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
I
saying?
completely know what you mean.
And you can't, like, back then, you could stage things and trick people a whole lot better than you can now. Social media is bad, it's also good.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, well, we find things out about,
Most people know
you
a
know,
lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I can't remember what JFK was doing or what he was on to, or
They were
you
in
know,
what, Houston?
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
Houston. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if people at the time believed. What is it? Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald. I don't think people at the time believed that was it. Like, do you think it was grassy knoll? Do you think it was? And I think some of the files Trump released recently has shown that the government definitely did do it.
Yeah, it's sickening to me to use somebody's life like that.
Yeah.
He's a human being.
Yeah.
He was a president. He was in a high profile position, but he's a human being. But to use a human being like that as such a disposable, like, chess piece.
Yeah.
To take
A pawn.
somebody's
Quite
life,
literally just a pawn. Yeah.
to take somebody's life like that for another agenda or for somebody's advantage. It's just sickening to me. And the fact that we're all in the same country doing that to each other. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know, like, same team, bro. You know, like,
same team, bro.
Team, man. You know, I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it's the CIA, not the FBI. I think the CIA definitely plotted to kill him. I think they also plotted to kill Martin Luther King Jr. I think those were kind of one and the same for the most part. I think maybe like the 1920s and the 30s and 40s was really kind of the start of when the alphabet agencies really started controlling Washington more than the Senate and the House, the presidency and judicial court systems actually had control. So realistically, by the time the 60s rolled around and, JFK was in power and talking about, these progressive ideas mixed with all this espionage that we're doing overseas with the Cold War. And I think you just put that all together. It's like, oh, well, that clearly makes sense that he was murdered by someone that wasn't what the story was being told. It was clearly different. Yeah, I mean, I think on the surface level, that sounds like a scary thought. But then the more you think about that, that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because what if you want to run for president one day? You know? Don't. Unless you really want to. But, like, it could be anybody. It could be anybody. They could just be a pawn in another group scheme, you know? So that's kind of my take.
Any agenda that where there's any kind of opposition that arises, it's crazy to think of the lengths that the government will go to in order to stop that opposition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we went from a caveman sticks together
It's
to
so
this.
simple, man.
I don't get how we got to all
So
this. It's so
simple.
simple. Like what you're saying.
It's the human heart, man. It's the human heart. And back to what you were saying, it's never enough.
Yeah.
And for people who do experience that more and more and more and can achieve that more and more and more, whether it's money or power or whatever, it's never enough. So, like, if you're in a political position of power where you don't just influence your family or your community, your decisions influence the world. When is it enough? What's the next step after that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then when your authority or power is challenged, what lengths are you willing to go to stop it? You know.
Speaking of integrity, with like you were saying with sales, heighten that 50-fold, 100-fold.
Yeah.
That's probably what that position feels like. Yeah, and a lot of people give in.
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, Martin Luther King, JFK.
RFK. RFK Jr. was his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that whole time period, that was the 60s would have been a crazy time to be alive.
I would have loved it.
Doing 60s acid, that would have been crazy.
Yes, I would have loved to have been alive then. No, you're right. When I was younger, I always felt like I was born into the wrong decade.
Yeah. 30 years from now, some little kid's gonna say, "I wish I could have been alive for Taylor Swift's." I was born in the wrong era. She couldn't be. She was born in the wrong era to not see the Eras tour.
Do you think? Do you think people are gonna look back and be like, "Man, I missed the 2010s or the"?
I'm already there.
Are you?
Yes, man.
Really?
I missed the 2010s.
What?
Not in the same. I don't know. I think probably 2000s are pretty good. The 90s and 2000s. I think we probably peaked. Humanity probably peaked then.
My daughter doesn't know what VHS tape is.
I think you talked about that the other day. To be honest, I never really used one. I know what they are. I was around them a little bit, but
Dude, they were my jam. Like I love those things. Like I watched the original Lion King, Aladdin, like all those Disney movies or whatever on the VHS. But like what we consider modern technology now, what is going to be obsolete? What is what is going to be like when my daughter has kids? What thing is she going to be talking about that her daughter or son is going to be like?
That is.
What is that?
Yeah,
What's
who
that
knows?
ancient device?
Does she know about DVD? Like,
Yeah, she did. Yeah, DVDs, yes, but what do you think it's going to be? What do we consider
maybe
like this
social
big?
media. Maybe like phones, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
Phones.
we probably have some like hologram that you pull up and
or the mark
chip
of the beast,
or
the
whatever,
chip, whatever
yeah.
it is. Which I also, man, if you want to do a thing on conspiracy theories,
we can have our own episode about it. Yeah,
I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
I could rant about COVID. I could rant
Do a deep
about
dive.
the George Floyd thing.
Yeah.
I could rant about the Twin Towers because I was in high school when that happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I
We'll have
could-
to save that for
which
another day.
I also
but-
think it's the government. I could rant about the storm that just hit Asheville.
Mhm.
I think there's
There's a
underlying
lot going on there.
There's underlying things going on there that hit the mountains. I mean, dude, conspiracy theories even go as far back to like the Titanic.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard?
I
Have you heard?
That it never
there's-
actually sank, or something like that.
Oh, there's a bunch now, right?
Yeah.
But that either that it never actually sank or that it was purposely sank because of who was on board.
Who was on board?
The bigwigs. man.
Because Jack was on board.
Jack and Rose, yeah. I mean, come on, she had that big diamond, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, no, there was some big. There's some big banker, and of course, the competition to take over that whole industry and market and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, apparently, one of the guys was coming over from Europe to America to maybe like establish himself there, and whoever was in America was like.
We ain't out. We ain't out.
So, like, how do you not see an iceberg?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man, but like,
I don't know. That was different
They're-
times,
they're
man.
like-
They had some dude using a telescope, and
how do you not see
imagine like Captain Jack out there, using the telescope. That's probably who it was.
Jack Sparrow?
Yeah.
I love him.
Da-da-dum-dum, da-da-dum-dum. Do you have any social media that people can find you, or are you?
I've
off
got
the
a
socials?
Facebook, man.
Oh.
No, so I lay off social media a little bit. I've very widely considered getting rid of Facebook. I think a
Fair
lot
enough.
of social media is toxic.
Yeah.
If you so if you use it in the right way, it's okay.
Sure. Yeah, in moderation.
But I know with my personality, it's just better.
Yeah.
If I was on like Instagram and stuff, just
Cool.
No, I got Facebook.
Well, we'll have to get together for a conspiracy theory episode. But that was an awesome conversation. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
man. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, I really do enjoy that. Are we allowed to hug on camera?
Of course. Yeah. Come here, man.
No. Oh God.
Oh, I love you too. Oh, that was fun. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, you do a good job.
Thank you.